Hi, this is Kirsty Sayre from Orange Press Scary Life Coaching, and welcome May. May is also Mental Health Awareness Month, and that is a wonderful initiative which is designed to get rid of the stigma associated with mental health issues, which is so important. And it's something that I've been so dedicated to for as long as I can remember, the importance of being vulnerable, being honest, and asking for help. And so I have a really counterintuitive topic that I want to cover today in light of all that. And that is when asking for help goes wrong and how to increase the likelihood of it going right. So here are a few tips. First of all, number one, choose the person you ask wisely. We all have friends who are great for talking politics or going shopping or having fun with or whatever, but not everybody is equipped to deal with a mental health crisis or even just a really down day. And there's so many different reasons for that, and they really don't matter. But usually our instincts will tell us who is and who isn't the right person. And often people who are empaths will ignore those instincts because we are trying to project our sort of helping nature onto everybody. And not everybody is designed to help in that way. They help in other ways, but not everybody is down for helping somebody who's having an emotional or mental health crisis. And our instincts will usually ping us and say, this is not a safe person for this particular issue. Don't ignore those instincts. Practice listening to that and find people who you know for sure are safe. If you've had a bad experience with somebody one time, don't persist with that person. They are trying to tell you something. They are setting a boundary themselves almost always. And so find somebody else. This is an inconvenient truth, but it is a truth nonetheless. Number two, when you do find the right person, and there are so many of them out there, it doesn't mean that they're the right person all the time. You know, everybody is struggling, everybody has a life, everybody's going through things. And so it's really important and helpful to give people the opportunity to bow out gracefully. And it's important for two reasons. Number one, if you ask somebody if they have the mental space, emotional energy, or time, or whatever, to help you when you are going to unload some really heavy stuff on them, it allows them the opportunity to bow out gracefully, and it also allows you the opportunity to know that this is about whatever's going on in their life. It's not about you. And later, you know, if somebody acts abrupt or offish to you, you're going to be, if you haven't done this, inclined to believe it's about you, especially if you're in a fragile and vulnerable place, which you would be because you're asking for help. So this allows you to contextualize whatever, you know, offish response and avoid that altogether. And it also allows them not to have to feel terrible and not to have to avoid you in the future because they feel weird that they didn't help you correctly in that time when they themselves were overburdened. So it is a very healthy and helpful thing to do, to ask people for the permission to unload. And you know, it's a definite win-win. And so, you know, just say to people, I have something really heavy and I'm really struggling. Do you have the emotional space or energy? And then just do not take it personally if they don't. That's just life. We all have difficulties and struggles. Number three, when you do find somebody and you've asked them if they're up for it, be really specific about what you need, because, you know, people have not been living in your crisis along with you. They're not in your head with you. And, you know, it can be very upsetting and disheartening when you're coming to somebody just to vent, or you're coming to them for reassurance and they think that you're coming for tough love or for a solution, and all you want is desperately just reassurance that everything's going to be okay. So there's no harm in just saying, I'm spinning out, I'm feeling so freaked out, I just need reassurance that everything's going to be okay, or please tell me I'm not a bad mom or wife or friend or, you know, coworker or whatever it is. I just am really nervous right now, or I need somebody to tell me that it's time to seek medical help or get on the meds or make an appointment with a therapist or whatever. And the thing is that this helps the person that you're talking to know how to help you, which is great. But it also helps you. It's a very grounding experience to be self-aware in that, when you're like, what is it that I need? And that will often ground you so much that you are like, okay, I am in this space. I just need to know that everything's going to be okay. And often we just need somebody to confirm what we already know or what we need to hear. And so that is a very healthy exercise in self-awareness, by making clear in your mind what you need from somebody else, and then verbalizing it is very, very sort of centering for you too. Then number 4, remember, keep knocking. There are so many times that we will encounter locked doors for whatever reason. People are just not in a place, or they're just not that person, or they're out to lunch. That door has just got a temporary, like, can't right now sign on it. There are going to be locked doors. That does not mean that your asking for help was a bad idea, that it was wrong. It's never wrong to ask for help. It is always the right, most courageous and wise instinct. So remember that you are not bad for asking for help. You did not do the wrong thing. And the person who wasn't able to help you is also not bad. The door was just locked, and there are plenty of other doors which will open. So keep knocking. I know it is so hard when we're in crisis, and it takes so much effort and courage and gumption to, like, just get out there and ask for help. It's so hard, but there are so many open doors. So just persist, persist. And might I suggest that it is sometimes so much better to reach outside of the group that's really, really close to it, because when you're very freaked out and having a really hard time, the people who love you can also be very freaked out. And sometimes support groups or internet groups can be the absolute best solution to this, because those people are not blindsided by what you've got going on, and they have signed up for this, and they've experienced this. And often there are people who've walked the path and are a lot further along, and they're there to help others. They're there to pay it forward. So these groups can be a godsend, and those people are just as real as the people who are in your life. And some of my most wonderful, loyal, like, enduring friendships have happened because of internet support groups or pregnancy groups, or all those things. So those groups can be invaluable. So consider going outside of your tight little circle where people are really close to the issue, to groups where people really get it. And of course, therapy, if you can get it, is so helpful, is so wonderful. And if you really are in crisis, there is no shame. There is only such wisdom and courage in just going to the hospital, going to the emergency room and saying, I cannot do this. There is no shame in that. It is such a courageous and admirable thing to do. Remember that this too shall pass. All of this shall pass, good and bad. Everything is temporary. And so if you can find anybody to just distract you, even if it is ultimately, do reach out for help. If none of these things, are working for you, always take the risk of reaching out for help, because at least you'll be distracted for 1 more minute. And often it just takes another minute, another breath, another hour, another day for everything to change and everything to be okay. And it always will be okay. I promise. So thank you so much for your time. I hope these tips have helped you. Remember, asking for help is never the wrong idea. This is Christy Sayre from 1 Inch Past Scary Life Coaching. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good day.